Hey guys, I'm Casey, and today I wanted to get to know each other just a little bit better. I've been playing video games for as far back as I can remember in my life. Growing up, I was pretty fortunate, as I remember almost always having whatever the most recent video game console out at the time was, from the SNES to the Xbox 360 and just about everything in between. It's safe to say I've played my fair share of video games. And today, I wanted to share with you 5 of the many more than 5 favorite childhood games. This list is in no particular order, and I tried my best to vary it up based on console, so there's one game per console, except for one instance, but oh well, rules are meant to be broken. Speedbusters is a game that was developed by Ubisoft and released in 1998 for Windows. At the time, the game was notable for its impressive visuals and realistic graphics, though PCs at the time struggled to be able to handle the horsepower required to run Speedbusters. One critic at the time even stated, "You'll have a fast and furious time with Speedbusters, but only if you have a competent graphics card. If you have a puny PC with a little video memory, forget it." 1 year later, in 1999, Ubisoft re-released Speedbusters under a new name, Speed Devils, for the hot new Sega Dreamcast. And this is actually where I first played the game. I remember getting home from school every day and playing this game for a while. This was probably the first racing game I ever played where I felt like the controls made proper sense. The right trigger was finally accelerate, with the left one being brake. A standard practice these days, sure, but back then you were never sure what you were going to get. Even today, this game feels surprisingly good. As a fast-paced little arcade racer, this game overall holds up pretty well. It is what I would have said if it wasn't for the track and course design. I'm not sure what really happened here. There are quite a few different courses in Speed Devils, ranging from the California hills to Area 51 in Nevada. Each track has 3 unique laps where something different, often resulting in a new obstacle, will happen. Like this gorilla will just be chilling there on one lap and trying to wreck your shit on the next. One of my favorites is this UAP, that flies out of control on one lap only to be crashed down on the bridge the following lap. This is a pretty cool concept that has lived on in many games such as Sonic All-Stars Racing Transformed. But what really hurts it here is just all the dead space in between. I mean, where am I? What is going on? All in all, Speed Devils is a fun but flawed arcade racing game that lives on fondly in my memory, even if it may not for that many others. Released in 1999 on the PlayStation, Sega Dreamcast, PC, and Nintendo 64, the latter of which is the one that I played on, Army Men Sarges Heroes was a game that I played. A lot. Developed by the 3DO company, or just 3DO, Sarges Heroes is a third-person shooter where you assume the role of your favorite toy soldier and take on the evil Tan Army. And I mean, for being on a console that only had one thumbstick, it plays about how you'd expect. I guess I didn't pay much attention or just didn't care when I was a kid, but damn, this game's controls are pretty rough. Movements are stiff, the camera is a beast in itself, and everything just sort of feels like it's chugging along. But as one critic for Next Generation put it, the camera and control will probably make you throw down the controller in disgust every now and then, but if you can get past that, Army Men delivers some fun. There was a reason I played this game so much when I was a kid. I really do think I was capable of just not caring how a game controlled when I was younger, which allowed me to enjoy this game so much. I actually have really fond memories of me and my dad playing this against one another in its 2-player versus mode. The novelty of being a tiny action figure is still one that I find extremely charming, even to this day, as I play games that I feel are sort of spiritual successors to Sarges Heroes, like Hypercharge Unboxed, an ultra-realistic and fun modern-day shooter and base defense game. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure why this game clicked with me so well, but it did, and I played it a lot when I was a kid, gaining some memories that I'll never soon forget. This is likely going to be one of the most obscure titles on this list. In 1998, a little platforming game called Punky Skunk was released on the PlayStation 1, developed by, and please forgive my pronunciation, Ukiyote and Jaleco. Punky Skunk isn't a game you'll find much on these days, and not too many people you can find will probably sing its praise, because honestly, looking back at this game objectively as an adult, it's really not that great. I really enjoyed it as a kid, but then again, I feel like I enjoyed just about every game that I played as a kid because, you know, I was a kid. Even back then, though, I could never beat this game. Hell, I'm not positive I got past the 3rd level, because even today, I can't seem to get past this level. This game is surprisingly difficult, as the controls feel incredibly stiff, and it never feels like you're in control of your jumps. Once you leave the ground, that's it. You have zero influence as to where you're going to go. It makes for an extremely frustrating time jumping around these levels, which isn't exactly what you want from your platformer. A lot of people and critics seem to hate on this game's art style too, although I have to admit, it's fine. Even if it doesn't cater to my particular demographic, it's bright and colorful, and it does its job just fine. One thing that doesn't do its job just fine, though, is the sound design. It's quite simply awful. Through it all, though, I played this game quite often when I was a kid. I don't remember for sure if I didn't have any other options at the time, or if I genuinely found some sort of enjoyment from it. I may never know. Either way, this fucking funky but sucky Punky Skunk fuck on the PlayStation 1 really stunk.
So get it together. Ready? Go! Motor Tune Grand Prix!
This particular entry on the list is a bit of an odd one. While I was trying to research my childhood games, I had an extremely hard time digging up too much information on this one. Motor Tune Grand Prix was a game released in 1994 by Sony and directed by Kazunori Yamauchi, the very same who would go on to direct one of the most renowned racing simulation franchises of all time, Gran Turismo. So then, what's the problem? It seems like I know an awful lot about a game that I claim was hard to find stuff out about. And at first glance, you would be right, but upon further inspection, the problem lies within the game's release. You see, Motor Tune Grand Prix was only released in Japan, and as much as I wish it wasn't true at times, I live in America, always have. Now, the sequel for Motor Tune Grand Prix released here in the States in 1996, but I didn't play the damn sequel. I only ever played the first one, this one. I absolutely have no idea how it's possible I played this game when I was a kid, but I freaking swear I did. And it was before 1996, so I know I couldn't have been confusing them. Now, Motor Tune Grand Prix did eventually get a release on the PlayStation Store for PS3 back in 2008, but again, that's well past the age that I played this game, and I know for a fact I didn't play it on a PS3. I am so completely lost on this, and no matter how much I dig on the internet, I can't find anything that would lead me to an understandable conclusion. I could ask my mom where she got the game, but that'd be the equivalent of asking my mom where she got the game when I was 6 years old. There's no way in hell she or anyone could remember something like that. Besides, it was probably Blockbuster, not that that would help me here in this case anyways. So with all that being said, if any of you happen to know how the hell I might have played this game back in 1995 in the United States, please be sure to let me know. But with all of that being out of the way, this game was a blast. I loved the bendy and squishy bodies of the cars, the bright, crazy vivid colors, and insane music. This is one of the most charming racing games I ever had the luxury of playing back in the day, and you know what? I think it holds up rather well all this time later. I mean, I don't care who you are, take a look at this color palette. It's jaw-dropping, especially back in the day. I had never seen anything quite like this before, and if I'm being honest, nothing like it since. Underneath all the crazy cartoon aesthetics though, there's a real racing game to be found here with decent mechanics and surprisingly tight controls. Then again, MotorToon Grand Prix isn't going to break the mold within its genre the same way Gran Turismo did, but I think it's certainly worth a play. MotorToon Grand Prix is a bizarre game with a bizarre personal history for me, and it left some bizarre memories, ones I'm damn glad that I have.
Champions of Norrath, thank you for answering my call in what may be our darkest hour. The unthinkable has happened. Orcs and goblins, once mortal enemies, have now become allies.
This last game is a bit less obscure as the other titles on this list. I'd imagine many of you around my age are probably familiar with this one. Champions of Norrath is an action role-playing game released on the PS2 in 2004, and was developed by Snowblind Studios. This game holds a very near and dear place in my heart. As you see, Champions of Norrath was my very first ever online video game experience. It was such a unique and magical sort of experience. The thought of communicating with other people playing with you from potentially thousands of miles apart, it just seems so unreal. How times change. And that alone added to the enjoyment of this game to me. I played it literally for thousands of hours. In fact, I remember the winter of 2004. I had been living in Baltimore, Maryland, and it was a particularly fierce winter. One day, my two brothers asked me if I wanted to go out and sled ride with them, and my dad, and well, I chose to pretend that I was sick just to get out of having to go, and so I could stay home and play more Champions of Norrath. I'm sorry about that, guys. This was likely an early warning sign I shouldn't have ignored, but life is what it is. Champions of Norrath is a dungeon crawler to the T, set within the universe of EverQuest, everybody's favorite pre-World of Warcraft MMO. And personally, this is probably one of my all-time favorite games. I still get cravings for its incredible hook to this very day. And it appears I'm probably not alone, as outlets such as GameSpot and IGN giving it an 8.5 out of 10 and 8.9 out of 10, respectively. With simple but satisfying mechanics, the constant chase for better loot, 4-player co-op, a pretty exciting and decent story for the time, it was really no surprise, and 12-year-old me made some of the best memories of my life on it. So, thanks for that, Champions of Norrath. So there you have it, 5 of my favorite games that I played when I was a kid. Now, 5 isn't very many, and so there were loads of other games that fought to make this list. So if this is a video idea that you guys enjoyed and would like to see more like it, be sure to let me know that down below in the comments, and if you haven't already, I'd appreciate it if you'd consider subscribing. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.